And you are listening to another edition of Blue It's Blitz. One of the final ones that I'm going to record, not one of the final ones in general, are actually the final one I'm going to be recording from the reviews from the players. Again, some of these are going to drop after the season, which I know necessarily isn't ideal, but with just some circumstances, this one had to be released a little bit late. And some had to be released late, is what it is. Next year, I will be more on top of getting the reviews out in a more timely fashion. But for this one, September 7th, recording it early in the morning for me. I know 10:42 isn't early to you guys, but it is for me. Waiting to hear some Zach Wilson news. So if you see me looking down at my phone, refreshing it, it's to see if Zach Wilson's going to be playing or not. I would assume it's going to be Joe Flacco start. I would put it at almost a 90% chance that it is Flacco. I think at this point the Jets are playing a little bit of gamesmanship with the Ravens, trying to make them prepare for two quarterbacks. But with that all being said, excuse the fact that I'm in my room, bedhead, all that stuff going on. I know people are going to get at me for the widow's peak, but it is what it is. As you can see, right here, we got the puppy guy. I don't know if you actually just saw him right there, but nonetheless, he's literally laying on my keyboard. So 67 plays of Duane Brown. I'm going to. I feel like I'm gonna run through this relatively fast. Just due to the fact that I know that people aren't going to be overly interested in a review that's 2 hours of a guy who you've probably already seen play for week one at this point. So I'm going to put enough time into it. But being transparent, I don't know if I'm going to dive into the depths of every single play. And I'm going to pull up the first play here. The beginning of this review, to my best recollection, is not pretty. He improves towards the latter end of the year. Now, I think that people, when they talk about him, consistently reference that he played really poorly at the beginning of 2021 and really improved at the end. I think there was slight improvement, but it wasn't drastic. So for the people who are only going to be watching the first 15, 20 minutes, obviously, subscribe to the website. It's I don't usually say it, but it's $6 a month. It's 2 cups of coffee. I just put out a full review of Tony Adams. That was 45 minutes. If you're not a subscriber, you only get 20 minutes of that. So how much do you really know of a player in 20 minutes? Not enough, in my opinion. So $5-6 a month. I know some people don't love to do it. And listen, you're at the hands of whatever I record first. Again, there is no agenda. There is no, I'm going to make it pretty 5-6 plays for YouTube. Whatever I record is what I record. And you guys get the good, the bad, the ugly, whatever I decide to. And admittedly, with Brown, it's not good to start. So you're going to get some ugly play. If you watch it, you're going to be like, oh my God, we are screwed. Stick for the rest of the review. You'll feel a little bit more confident. But again, transparently, the beginning of the review is pretty ugly, at least relatively to what you'd expect, or relative to what you'd expect for a Pro Bowl tackle, right? So left tackle right here is going to be the left tackle the entire time. Let's watch. Obviously, pressure, or it was a sack. I don't know why I cut it. I cut it so early. And where does that come from? One, he gets into a 45-degree set that he turns into a little bit of a vertical set. He does have a very, very big tendency to punch from wide and low. And if guys can time it, they are able to splash him and take control of his chest. We see the edge rusher obviously do a good job of rushing up the arc and then directing it directly into Duane Brown at the very last second. And Duane Brown is anticipating him going up the arc. You're going to see this a lot in this review, where he'll kind of go into like a 45-degree set. He'll throw a fake punch. As he throws that fake punch, he opens up very, very wide to the outside, anticipating the guy continuing up the arc. But if the guy can time that, if the edge rusher can time that, they'll typically they can either beat him inside or bull rush him because he's opening so heavy to the outside. And we're seeing that a little bit here. And we can also see with his footwork, we obviously don't want to see him, one, rise out of his stance. We don't love that. And then two, we see him typically towards the top of his set. He'll get heel clicky. So we don't want to see shallow feet like this getting heel clicky. Again, you're just not in the most powerful position to be able to respond to any quick redirection or quick power through your chest. We're seeing that a little bit here. Again, gets splashed and gets walked back into the quarterback. He doesn't get beat super cleanly. Again, I cut it a little bit short there, but he does give up a sack. So not a great start to it. This one as well. Again, I think like 5 out of the first 7 plays that you guys will be watching on YouTube, or 5 out of 8 or 9 or 10, whatever it is, are not so great. So again, left tackle, too flat. Now, in terms of these runs, whether it be zone or this one where he's, it's more, we could call this tight inside zone. Again, he blocks back. He doesn't necessarily have to zone step with that center right there. Again, just because the zone does not mean he has to step to the right. If there's no threat here, he will block a little bit more down or combo with the backside. But nonetheless, with Duane Brown here, he's almost like hinging. And in this instance for Brown, because it's going opposite, the only thing he really needs to do is get in his way. We need that positional leverage. So he needs to maintain his inside leverage to his outside leverage. So again, and if anything, he wants to take more of a high angle, because if he was to take a high angle, if he tries to cut it off and take the best angle to get back involved in the play, it would be flattened over the top of him to get to the running back. So if anything, and play it high to low. You do not want to get too flat and let him scrape over top of your face to get back in on the run. So we see Brown right here, too flat. Anticipates the defensive lineman just rushing up the arc instead of anticipating any movement. Again, if anything, work your way up the field and then work back. Do not work flat to up. It's just not, in any instance, it's not good. Even if the block worked out, I would not prefer, or it's not good in terms of just how you want to set yourself up on the backside of some runs. So too flat right here, gets his face crossed, and the defensive lineman ends up getting in on the tackle. Can't have that on the backside of this run. You just need to get that positional leverage in front of him. So the footwork right there is not good. Again, you can't just anticipate him working up the arc. And with that being said, we can see him really, if you want to start looking at the stance too, have his foot's a little bit widened. Could be a tip off that he's gonna explode off that foot to the inside. You're really loading up again, and that foot is, instead of being a little bit more in front of him, it's a little bit more to the side. That should be a little bit of a tip off right there. He's really loading up on that foot, but nonetheless, gets beat across his face. We don't want that. Now, is it extremely detrimental to the play? Does the running back still gain whatever that is, 5 yards ish? Sure. Still, we can't have it. Brown stunt. Okay, let me expand this a little bit. Again, left tackle. And again, I'm sorry for the window. It used to not be like this, where you saw all this gray and stuff like that. It's just kind of, one, I'm not a computer guy, and 2, Apple really sucks sometimes. Like, they're great, but they suck at the same time. So is what it is. Left tackle. Now we're seeing a good job with the stunt. Let's see if he hits this deep shot. Of course he does, because it's Russell Wilson. Draft Cortland Sutton in your fantasy teams, even though by the time you watch this, you already have drafted. The one thing we could say about this is I don't love the fact that he gets so flat immediately. Again, with a tighter split like this, with him loading up a little bit on that foot, just be careful. Obviously the wider to the technique, you could cheat a little bit more to the outside. When it's a little bit tighter like this, you do not want to set so flat. You could set flat, but make sure you're splitting the difference. You're splitting his body. You're running your feet, and you still have like that half man relationship. Your outside half to his inside half. You want to play it like that. He gets a little bit too flat right here. Nonetheless, after he gets flat, he power steps. Right foot back inside. Power steps to get back into the inside. Stays square to the line of scrimmage. Now he's obviously feeling that a stunt is coming. Him diving inside like he does without much of a pass rush move. Passes off the stunt, hands on, extension, eyes to the second level, passes it off to the left guard. Once he ensured it's passed off, redrops his post to the outside and picks up the stunter. So we have an ET right there. Does a good job passing it off past the fact, the little bit of the nitpickiness that not nitpicky is, but it is for you. It's not for me. You don't want to set so flat initially, but overall still a relatively good job getting through that. And again, for the people who are watching this on YouTube, I admitted before you even were on here, this is more for the subscribers, but it is what it is. I'm gonna run through these pretty fast just because I know those reviews are coming out after the season. So I want to run through it and give you a good feel of the guy. So you feel I'm going a little bit faster to these plays more than I usually do. I am. I am. So you're not wrong. Left tackle. Now, if you guys are habitual watchers of the live streams, you heard me say to Kyle, whatever point you guys watched, that he is a little bit he has some Evan Neal to his blocking, and he does. And what I mean by that is you're going to see him in the run game, whether he be trying to kick somebody out, down block, whatever it may be, or just blocking in general, base blocking. He does have a tendency to go from low and wide, right? So he takes that near step, or that zone step towards the D end. He actually takes a good angle just in terms of inside out, and making sure he's not necessarily too flat and being pretty patient with his feet. The problem is, look where his hands are coming from. You cannot, when you're anticipating contact, you cannot have your hands coming from this angle. Think about, and it's the best analogy. I know there's more movement, and guys have to kind of throw themselves a little bit more in football because they're so big. But like a boxer, right? You're anticipating quick contact. You ever see a boxer with these hands like this? No, you're gonna get absolutely rocked, right? So he needs to have his hands a little more on guard, and just in general, having your hands more on guard. In that solar plex area, belly button, anywhere, where your hand carriage is comfortable. It's much more of a direct angle to the chest. Here, obviously, it takes a little bit longer. Defensive lineman can read it. Again, drops his hands low and wide, gets his chest controlled, gets splashed. The defensive lineman again initiates contact, is lower, controls the outside hand. Duane Brown is able to create absolutely no movement because of that, and the defense lineman is able to cross his face and get on the tackle. Why? Again, hands low and wide. Don't want it. Next play, pass rep. Okay, he's the left tackle here. Very clean film from the Seahawks here, and you will notice that stuff. There are some, like the Jets film, I don't love it. That's a little bit too high. The Bears film is the absolute worst. Seahawks is pretty good for offensive linemen. It's nice and close. Pass rep, good job here. So this is another situation where, again, just based on the alignment with him being so wide and him kind of splitting the difference and being more of a 4-eye, he doesn't want to set too wide just in case there's like a game or anything like that. He doesn't want to set out too far and take himself out of being able to play any stunt. So I like the fact that he gets into his pass set. He is aware of the technique inside of him, has active eyes to that as well. Drag hand, confirming that there is no penetration through the speed gap, while he's also looking at his edge threat, and picks it up. Again, it's very, very simple, but it's good in terms of the activity from the feet right here. The drag hand, again, which just allows him to feel that gap while not necessarily looking at it. And with that, even if he is looking at it to the point where like it starts to come towards him, that hand just allows him to be there quicker. Instead of shooting from the chest, having that hand in that gap already kind of allows him to be closer to set contact. So good hand, good eyes, good feet, confirms, okay, there's no stunt, there's no game coming here. I'm just getting straight rushed, picks it up. Now again, or not again. Now with him absorbing this bull rush, he obviously feels the bull rush coming. We see him do a good job of precautionarily jumping into his anchor. You see how he throws his weight back into his anchor, gets off his instep over the right foot, gets good leverage on the edge rusher. That's a very good job anticipating the bull rush. A lot of guys, if you're not going to anticipate that bull rush and you're going to be more straight up, you're having to then to either walk back into your anchor or hop into your anchor while you're contacted. If you can precautionarily hop into your anchor, now you're at the point where he has to push you past those heels and you can re-anchor. Whereas if you're more straight up, you're going to have to set that anchor through contact. It's much more difficult. So good job hopping back into the anchor with good leverage. Left hand seems to be inside at some point. But in general, it's the precautionary hopping back into the anchor that really wins him this rep. Just in terms of him versus the edge rusher. So it's a good job right there. Stands him up. Okay. Brown open field. Okay. Oh, let me expand this. And a play or two when the YouTubers are gone, I'm going to go check and make sure that I'm recording myself audibly, or the audio is picking up, because that has happened to me before. So let's watch left tackle. Okay, like a lead crack toss, crack lead, and he can move, especially for a guy who's 36, 37. Again, I don't think power is his best suit, but he could definitely move. And in terms of his moving, we'll recap it maybe later in this, or at least in the strengths and weaknesses. He's not necessarily the best mover in a phone booth, but in terms of like quick change of direction. Now, if you're talking about long speed acceleration, that stuff, yes, but like flipping his hips, that he's not always the best. And that comes from him being pretty damn tall, and I'll read his all of that later. But here, obviously, again, he's pulling, he's blocking to the arc, or he's arc blocking to the outside right here. Again, finds his first threat to the outside and is going to try to run him out. So the only thing we're really looking at this play, not necessarily technique, it's more one, it's a good angle. Two, with being on the second level here, you do have a little bit more flexibility as an offensive lineman to grab, to almost hug technique, to grab him by the shoulders, because if a linebacker is going to splash you, you have 50, 60 pounds on him sometimes. He's not necessarily going to be able to move you. You want to, be safer with like double half moon punches, or just kind of hugging him, for lack of a better term, because you are trying to fight his athleticism. That's more for athleticism, those type of punches. So good job right there. Again, good speed in the open field. And Carson follows him for what is, I believe, a touchdown right there. I didn't even look at the pile or anything like that. But Brown pass set, fake hit given. Okay, left tackle. I believe it's for what is that, Bud Dupree? So the one thing I will say about him is, and I did put this in his strengths and weaknesses, there are times where he definitely gives up on the play a little bit too early, especially knowing he's playing with, and you're not supposed, like, realistically, you're not supposed to do it ever, but transparently, with a quarterback who's a little bit less mobile and you expect to get the ball out quicker, you will see guys give up quicker than if they're playing with a Russell Wilson, even Zach Wilson, who likes to make plays. Obviously, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, guys who tend to hold the ball and run a little bit more. But in general, you don't want to give up on a play early, regardless. So we like the initial set right here. Gets into his pass set, getting a little bit more of a 45 that turns into a vertical. He tends to do that. He closes some ground, fake punch, as he typically does. Good job precautionarily hopping back into his anchor. Good job using a relatively tight elbow angle, and working it into the ribs and working into the center of gravity. That's obviously a good punch. That's a good job sticking the block. So this is all good right here. What comes after it is not necessarily good. Obviously, he still feels that Bud Dupree is rushing, and at a certain point, he looks back to the quarterback and gives up on that play. That player ends up hitting his quarterback. Can't have it. He needs to stick to blocks a little bit longer. Now with me, I believe I noted this, and obviously excuse the fact that I recorded this on August 11th, so it's almost a month ago at this point. I did believe I note that I believe he was injured to start the year. Now, whether that be via injury report that you can find that, or just based on the eye, I'm pretty sure I noted that I think he was injured just based on his lack of movement skills and effort to start versus at the end of the season. So he might have been battling something where he's laboring a little bit, but Brown pull, okay, left tackle right here. Again, the guy can move, right? There you want to counter OT right here. You have the kick out from the guard, and he is the lead blocker as the offensive tackle. So good job one identifying his threat, letting the guard kick out. Was it Daniel Hunter? Is it Hunter? Yeah, I believe it's Hunter. So that's a good job. Again, showing off his athleticism, meeting 59 in the hole. Now listen, like people, I think people are sometimes unfair to offensive line. Like, oh, if you're running and you get hands on the linebacker, you're supposed to pancake them. Linebackers do a good job, and 59 does a really good job right here, getting into a very powerful stance and working into the chest of Brown. So as long as you're contacting them and you can maintain contact for a second or two, that allows a running back to get past his level. So you don't necessarily always have to blow guys up, especially when they're coming from a stance like that. It's almost impossible at times, but he does enough to open up a gap for his running back. Now, why he trips, That's a story. Well, that's off of the right tackle's foot right there, actually, right there. That's why he trips. But Brown does a good enough job opening his hole in that pole. So it's a good job, whether it be counter OT, whether it be a dart run, whether you have pin and folds or anything like that. You can do that with him. All right, next play. Brown fake punch. Again, this is littered throughout his film. Let's watch left tackle. And sometimes it's going to work. Sometimes it's just not. Like, and we'll see the times it doesn't. Typically, if the edge rusher continues to the outside, it's going to work. If that edge rusher redirects into his chest or tries to win to the inside, it has a lesser chance of winning. But this is his most frequent pass set, where it's more of a 45-degree set, where he's taking, not necessarily a jump set, not necessarily a vertical set, but somewhere in between in terms of aggression. Again, he gets to that he anticipates the contact window. As he's getting to that contact window, he tends to throw a fake punch. When he throws that fake punch, some players tend to react to it, whether it be by swiping it, by changing their direction, by trying to rip it, whatever it may be. He forces them into their move, and then he catches them. So fake punch, open, catch. That's you're gonna see him do that a lot. Now, again, do I love the fact that because there are guys who are going to anticipate that fake punch, and we could see that he gets heel clicky. One, we could see his footwork is not the best, just in terms of like how you see outside foot, how it's like stamping. It's very high. We want to see his feet be a little bit more low and smooth. The heel clickiness. Again, fake punch. It's actually more of like a circle punch, because it's two hands. So this is more of a circle punch than just a fake punch, because it's the two hands, 1, 2, circle, catch. Again, and he does a good job when he does catch guys to the outside, landing that inside hand into the ribs. And if guys continue up the arc, he really attaches himself to that inside hand and just runs them up the arc and past the quarterback's level. So in this instance, again, it works well. There are some things, again, we could be nitpicky about in terms of his footwork, both in reference to how he raises the back foot up, and how he kind of stamps it, and how he gets a little bit heel clicky, just in terms of how his feet are in relation to each other when he's in his pass set. That's a good play, though. Next play, sack allowed. Okay. Left tackle. Did is this still the same game? Is this still the same? Did I start with the Viking game too? I don't know. But this is one of those plays where, hey, they get this edge rusher anticipates it, and he beats him to the inside, right? So we have, again, more of what is a 45-degree set. Fake punch. Again, the heels, you can see the heels are getting clicky here. We don't want that. Fake punch, open, anticipating that he's going to get to the outside. A lot of movement up the arc with that fake punch into trying to catch him to the outside. If guys anticipate that happening, what can they do? They could do exactly what this is not Griffin, not 97's Hunter, or I forget. 99 is Hunter, 97's it's I don't think Griffin was on their team last year. I forget who this is. But he anticipates it, and he goes with the spin move. Again, because a lot of his momentum is going to the outside or up the arc right there. If he doesn't catch him, if that end, the defender does a good job rolling that the inside hand of Duane Brown off of his back, gets to the inside, beats him for a sack. And listen, it is what it is. At this point, I think I'm talking to subscribers. Brandon Thorne comes out there and says, "Oh well, he does a really good job continuously changing up his pass sets." That's verbatim. I think he has the ability to. Does he always? I vehemently disagree with that. He's a lot more on his plate in terms of watching players, so maybe he's not able to watch 17 games. But that's not true. It's just not, because you're going to see this set continuously throughout there. So I know he's one of the gurus. That one, not with it. So we're going to see that a couple more times throughout this review. Let me just make sure that I'm picking up audio. Okay. Audio is there. Cool. Thank God. That would have been a waste of 20 minutes of my time, or however long it just took me to record those first 10 plays. Play 11, big punch. Again, change up his pass set. It's too frequent with him, where he's going to do this. And to be honest, like at this point, 11th place through, we're already seeing a lot. Wait until we're 67th place through. This is another one of those pretty lengthy ones, and it's why I'm running through these pretty quickly. But 45-degree set, fake punch, catch. Like there's going to be some plays through this review. Again, just for the sake of saving time, I'm going to go through pretty quickly. Now here, I think he does a pretty good job just maintaining like that half-man relationship. Fake punch, catch. And he does a good job when he's doing this. When he does win, this hand is again more of like it's more of a half moon. It's more of a containment punch. So he just wants to get onto their shoulder and he wants to drive them up the arc with this inside hand. He's going to typically land that to the rib area and just run them all the way up the arc and past the quarterback's level. But that fake punch, it will get guys to kind of declare themselves. Fake punch, catch. Easy. Pressure allowed. Left tackle. Here. Right? Like I said, some of these plays are eerily similar. So it's not something that I need to continuously run through. Oh, this is the footwork, the half man, all that stuff. I'm just trying to give you guys a very big sample size here. And again, I admittedly, with a little bit of laziness, just because the season's coming and I'm excited to watch new football, instead of the old football. But initially, he does a pretty good job of staying inside. So I actually like the fact that he's very, very patient with his feet. I like his I can't really tell his base. It looks like his base is a little bit better, but I like his leverage in terms of how low he is right here. But fake punch, open to the outside. Fake punch, heel click, open to the outside. Guys like Nick Bosa, okay, anticipate that. Attack that weak inside shoulder. Club it, bull rush it. It's like a club slash just, yeah, I guess it's like a club. And he just continuously drives his feet to the inside, lets up a pressure. Why? Because it's the same. It's the same pass with too much. And when you are playing guys like Nick Bosa, they're going to take advantage of it. So while he is a vet, he has the ability to do new pass sets. It's not too frequent we're going to see new pass sets from him. Now, and we're going to see, okay, strengths and weaknesses. Can he improve on this? Sure. Is he also 37 and probably, does a zebra change its stripes type of deal? Probably not. So pressure right here. Now this one comes more from him hugging. Now I think he might be anticipating that Bosa is going to beat him inside again. He sticks it inside really, really heavy. Uses more of a verticals out here than a 45-degree set. I like the fact that again he's kind of anticipating him getting himself getting bull rushed, and he hops back into his anchor precautionarily. But the thing is with Nick Bosa, if you're playing speed rushers, let's just use like a prime example of more of like a lighter but bendier type of guy who's not as powerful in a Brian Burns. This type of stuff can work just kind of again using that hug technique. When you have guys like Bosa who are technically sound and who are powerful and who are going to take advantage of that open chest and roll their hips up and through it, getting both your hands wide over the top, it's going to be hard to stop their bull rush. So hands land wide, he ends up bull rushing, working past Duane Brown and getting, let's call it a pressure. I would say that's a pressure. I don't know what PFF or any one of these other sites would label that, but I would not necessarily deem this as a successful play for Duane Brown. Not brutal, but still, I would like to see him use some different hand usage on this play. At certain points, you need to get your left hand, your outside hand into the chest. His left hand rarely lands into the chest of the outside guy or of the defender. So I want to see that change up a little bit. Brown sack allowed. Again, starts it off not so cleanly this season. Right here. Again, now we have him being laid off the snap. We don't necessarily want that. I don't know if it's a miscommunication, Russell Wilson hurrying, whatever it may be. But Bosa, you're seeing, obviously his explosion here. We're seeing Duane Brown not necessarily be able to cover with his hips. In this instance, it's hard. It's Nick Bosa. At the end of the day, Duane Brown has to pedal backwards while he runs forwards. It's not necessarily the easiest thing for him. Could we criticize maybe the fact that his right hand in this case, do we want to see that land into the hip and drive him up the arc? Sure. What really loses him this rep here is the fact that Nick Bosa is a yard and a half into the backfield before he really even creates any movement. And with Duane Brown, the thing that happens is when he gets into his set, sometimes his first step of his kick slide doesn't close or doesn't create a lot of distance, doesn't create separation. And here we're seeing that foot, we obviously can see him, he's late and he panics a little bit, and watch that foot covers absolutely no ground. So that foot does nothing. So we want to see him fire back, fire backwards. Now I can't really see where his foot is. Is that due to him maybe being a little bit too wider here? I'm not sure, but there's no distance created, and he's laid off the snap, allowing Nick Bosa to beat him for a sack. So that's really where that comes from. It's right off the jump. Brown screen. Okay, obviously this is a Twitter type of play, so let's watch here. So good job faking the pass it right there, getting into the open field. Now with him getting into the open field, again, I am much more comfortable with guys using like that hug technique, grabbing by the shoulders in the open field, because you're not anticipating the defender obviously to blow him up with power, even with bad hand placement. So that's more guard against athleticism. Works his way to Fred Warner, blocks. I think that's Fred Warner, right? Yeah, Fred Warner gets his hands on Fred Warner, passes that off to another blocker, is able to drop off of that, passing off the combo, picking up another secondary player, getting his hands on, and obviously getting a pancake on him. So let's just ignore the running back. Let's ignore everything that happens. Watch Duane Brown again, picking up 2 blocks. 1, 2. If you were to follow whatever else happened in the backfield, again, I didn't look at all. That could have been a massive gainer for the running back. Obviously, that was a hell of a job by Armstead right there to pick that up. But which I really do get confused whether it be this is Armstead, right? Yeah, and they gave away Buckner, whichever one it was the Niners gave away. They I'm pretty sure this is Armstead. They gave away the wrong one. That's all I know. It always confuses me which one's which. Brown beat run game. Okay. I think it's Armstead. And they gave away Buckner, and Buckner is a monster. And Armstead's good, but it's not Buckner. Brown beat run game right here, left tackle. Again, this is some of that Evan Neal in his game. Zone step, works his way to Bosa. Again, too flat of an angle. And even with the angle, again, it's not ideal. It's not necessarily the worst angle in the world. What are we seeing paired with that angle? We're seeing not very good leverage. We're seeing him leaning into the block. We're seeing him ducking his head, his hands. Look at his left hand. Look how wide and low his hands are coming from. You're not going to win often against any good edge hitter with that hand carriage. So zone steps, works the Bosa simply, ducks his head, hands come from wide, has no eyes on his threat. Bosa is able to slip it and work his way to the running back. Obviously the running back bounces it, but there's a lot of disturbance in that play from Brown. You don't want to be in this stance from Brown. Why? Don't be Evan Neal. If Evan Neal's a stud, I'm going to get so much shit, but it is what it is. Obviously, guys can improve. New evidence. Will I change my opinion on him if I watch the NFL? Oh, okay. If Evan Neal can just clean up his hand carriage on blocks and not tuck his head, he could be a really good player. So it's not like he has the athleticism, but man, was he a terrible run blocker. Brown splashed right here, left tackle. Okay, what are we seeing? Simply, again, relatively good angle, hands wide, low. Your hands are wide and low like that. When you're gonna let a guy like Nick Bosa anchor down a little bit. Good job by Nick Bosa anchoring down, getting you're seeing a really good job of him just getting low, rolling his hips up and through. Again, it's more lift versus push. If you're pushing, you're not doing it right. You have to lift, completely controlling Duane Brown right there, stands him up, stacks him with that like that pillar, and gets to again the running back. Why? Cannot scoop your hands like this. That's way too much movement. Versus an outside linebacker, sure that works. Nick Bosa, no way. So again, running through these pretty quickly. Not the prettiest film in the world, right? Is what it is. This is why Brown was relatively low on my list of top 25. I still think he's a decent tackle. Just not great. Definitely not great. Definitely not Pro Bowl level. I think he's more average. But left tackle right here, beat hit. Now this is versus Aaron Donald. You know, to be frank here, more of that 45 into the vertical circle punch. Now it's really not even the worst in the like the set's not the worst. Like he's crossing his plane, fake punch. I like the fact that his right hand lands into the ribs, into the center of like the center of gravity right there. You know, relatively tight elbow angle. That the problem is just his natural disadvantage with his height, and then that left hand doesn't land. So that's kind of that's the left hand is meant to be like that containment, but when that containment, because Aaron Donald's so low and he's so tall at times, just based on both how he is in his stance and his actual height, that left hand slips over the top of Donald. And if you're only going to have one hand on Donald and he's attacking that outside half, and that outside half doesn't have a good contact point to fight force against forced, he's going to beat you. That's all it is. That's as simply as that left hand does not land where he wants it to, and he's not able to contain him and run up the arc. Now, if that hand was on him, what that would do is just slow him down enough to make this inside movement, or this inside hand, allow him to push him up the arc. But it's just gonna be a quick win. If that outside hand doesn't land, he gets right to Wilson and absolutely lights him up. Now, if this was a different player, would he get in trouble for lunging into him like that? Probably, but it's Aaron Donald, so he doesn't. You know. Now, do I think that should be a penalty? Probably not. But I could just tell you right now that if that were a Jet, it probably would. Fake punch, beat hit. I don't know why it just like removed me off of where I was at. Beat hit. Did I just do this? Let me see. Okay, yeah, that's a play I just did. I apologize. 19. Fake punch. Left tackle. It's copy and paste what I've been saying. Now I think his feet are a little bit better here, just in term, and there's a little bit of heel clickiness, but they're a little bit more active, and you can see that that back foot is not raising as much. Fake punch, clearly that disrupts number 52. 52 goes to chop or work against that outside hand right there. He ends up reaching for contact. Duane Brown does a good job again, kind of hopping into his anchor, landing that right hand into the center of gravity and just leaning up and running him up the arc. Now, obviously, the defender realizes he's about to run up the arc. He turns on the brake, but this is exactly what he wants to happen. He wants that to disrupt them. He wants to open up to the outside, catch them, work into that center of gravity in terms of the ribs, hip area, and run them up the arc while that left hand contains them. It's exactly that's one of the successful reps. Whereas you've seen the reps where he gets either bull rush or beat inside because of that same set. It just depends on how he's played. Brandon Shell has up a sack there too. He stops early, so maybe we don't want Brandon Shell. Brown pancake. Maybe you guys can take side notes. Obviously, I'm doing the Brown stuff, but if you want to peek at Brandon Shell and tell me, hey, maybe he's not worth it, because I'm gonna stick with Brown. Brown pancake. Knowing myself a month ago, or just in general, if I'm putting large pancakes right here, it's probably I'm probably being an asshole to make fun of the people who put up pancakes that aren't really pancakes. Let's see if I'm doing that. I don't know. He trips, but still. Now, with his set, I'm fine with it. It's a 45-degree set, fake punch. Again, we're seeing him. He's pretty much always going to do it. Fake punch, open to the outside, and we see him catch himself. Fake punch, open to the outside. Oh shit, I'm getting beat inside. So he puts on the brakes a little bit. Right hand contained. So good job with that right hand containing. So working as like that pivot point. Does a good job dropping his post again. Let's just see right here. Kick, post. If this drops, dropping the post, post kick. Drops the post. Gets the hand inside. Again, acting as that containment, allowing himself to like pivot back to it. Now lean into him, work him flat. Obviously not ideal, but we do not want to allow him to get vertical to the quarterback. He knows where the quarterback set point is right here, which is obviously right here. Has to push him horizontal of that level. Good job leaning on him, working him past. So now, with that being said, he continues the block, and there's some foot traffic, and the defender ends up tripping, and then you have certain people online, again, not naming them unless you know me personally, very personal, where I can trust you enough, who will put this up and be like, pancake. Thousands of retweets, fire emojis. Moving on. Brown hit allowed. Left tackle. Again, now you're playing guys. This isn't TJ Watt, but nonetheless, we like the fact that he has a drag hand. We like the fact that he's relatively tight to the left guard. Now, in terms of taking on the defensive lineman or the edge rusher, we have the fake punch, the patented fake punch to catch. Fake punch, catch. The problem with that is even with that inside hand that he typically puts to or attaches to the hip area, the rib area, it's still relatively wide, right? He's not ever getting control of the chest. So if guys direct their force directly into him, they're pretty much always going to have his chest. If they're rushing to the outside, that's what the edge rusher does. Directs it into his chest. He doesn't have a good contact point. Works to Gino, gets the hit. Okay. Brown pass rep. Left tackle. Okay. Like I said, this review is gonna be very, very quick because this is one of the reviews, and like there are times where I will harp on certain techniques, but this review is pretty much all of his pass reps are the same exact thing. So I don't know how really good edge rushers don't beat him pretty consistently, because you get to set him up, but gets into his 45-degree set that again turns more vertical, fake punch, open, left hand contain, right hand tries to land into the ribs, into the hip area, run him up the arc. Stay attached to it. Again, run him up the arc. It's very, very similar to the other plays because it's the same thing. Fake punch, open. And if guy continues outside, he's going to typically win. If that player decides to bull rush or decides to try to win inside, completely different story. So he's a guy who I think beats average to below average players pretty consistently because of his technique. But I can see him, and this is almost, you could say this with everybody, like, oh yeah, he's gonna get beat by good guys, but I think he can get destroyed by good guys because they can set him up. So Brown bold. I'm going to assume that he's going to fake punch, open, and the guy's gonna take his chest. Fake punch, open, take his chest. Davenport throws him to the turf. Again, 45, fake, open, catch, chest, open. He takes it, bull rushes him right back into Gino. We're going to run through this review with those plays. Brown jump set. Let's see what a jump set is. I know what a jump set is. I don't know what a jump set is, but let's say a jump set. Left tackle. Now this I like. Let's start changing up the sets a little bit. Obviously showing heavy run right here. First Cam Jordan. Cam Jordan anticipates the run. Now I like the fact that he's very, very aggressive in closing that angle, but as he goes to close that angle, we see him gear down a little bit. Aggressive with his hands in terms of reaching for contact, but that's okay. Get quick contact. The quicker the contact, The farther he is away from the quarterback, more ground for him to cover. So I like the explosion out of the stance. I like the aggressiveness, but also gearing down when he's going into contact. Something that Ashton Davis should learn how to do. Works towards him, left hand on, right hand lands into the shoulders. Again, because he's contacting him so far away from the quarterback set point, he just wants to stay in front of him. So him closing that ground and then using like that hug technique, grabbing both of his shoulder pads and lifting up is going to be perfectly fine because of how much ground he has to cover. So hug techniques him, grabs him by both the shoulder pads, and now we're going to see him grab the shoulder pads, and then I'm going to assume he's going to quarter turn. Yeah, do you see how he's like wide? He's wide, and then his hands turn and grab and lift. That's perfect. Absolutely, that's a perfect rep or near perfect. Grab, quarter turn, lift. Now, watch it, but when you're tight like that and you have a guy, refs aren't typically going to call it. That's a good rep. I like that one a lot. Let's watch it again. That's a very good jump set. And with Brown, I was kind of tracking it. Like he gave up like 7 sacks, 6, 7, 5, whatever it is, 5 to 7, 8 sacks. Let's say he gave up. I'm not the stats guy, but no, somewhere around there. At least half of those were somewhat on Russell Wilson or Geno holding the ball for a very long time. But to be transparent, again, there were some hits he gave up because he gave up on the play a little bit early as well. So left tackle, pass set, right? Very similar. Now, patience with the feet. I like the fact that he's not getting too flat. Again, you want to maintain, like you want to split this outside foot to his body. You don't want to, and in terms of like the vertical relationship, you don't want to be too shallow. You don't want to be too low. You want to be somewhere in the middle, So now good base. You see, good job not heel clicking. We don't want the heel clicking. We don't want the feet stamping. So pass set, again, good base, fake punch, open, left hand lands a little bit more direct. Typically it's to the outside. Nonetheless, it's not going to be perfectly accurate all the time. Right hand can't necessarily see where it lands. Now I liked that after the initial contact, he realizes his hand's a little bit low. This defender is starting to redirect to bull rush up and through him. Now what does he do? Refits that hand as he hops in his anchor. Watch the hop. Hop into the anchor. Instep. Left hand refits into a more powerful position where he could lift. Can't lift from there. Obviously, there's nothing to lift unless you're lifting the helmet. Work into the chest, get under him, use some of that strength and lift him. So that's a good rep. It's a good job refitting the hands. Brown hand usage. Okay, left tackle. Let's see. Hand usage. Yeah, this one's a little bit different, but I like this set. Now maybe when they're, you have to get him to change it up a little bit when he's trying to jump set guys. I kind of like him a little bit better at times. Now I like the patience here. Again, I'm making very quick notes of a lot of these to be completely frank, and I already said that a couple times, right? That I'm running through this one a little bit quicker than I typically do. But I like that he's not using his same pass set here. Now we see an inside hand punch, which is typically if this guy, how do I explain this quickly? If this guy is going to be like threatening more vertical to the inside with that right hand punch, that inside punch, whether it be left tackle or right tackle, that inside punch, you have to watch yourself naturally opening your hips to the outside and being susceptible to the inside. But once this guy's committed to the outside and he's almost at your level, you have a little bit more flexibility to shoot that inside hand. That's a pretty quick way of saying it. So more of a jump set, 45-degree set. Does a good job not chasing the block, not reaching for contact right here. Just not reaching. That's all it is. Right hand is close. Land that right hand. Left hand lands into the chest. Tight elbow angle, and run off the arc. This is a pretty powerful position. I know he's working past them, but if you have that left hand tight, that outside hand tight, and then that outside hand, that right hand is going to work into the small of the back, and you're going to wrench him. Again, just straightening out his body. For not lack of a better term, but a very simple explanation, it's going to be hard for that edge rusher to continue his rush, or at least flatten out to the quarterback. So 26. Let's see, 27. Double block. Brown double block, left tackle. Oh, okay. Yeah, this is simply again when you have more just this traffic in general. He doesn't want to jump outside here. You want to stay tight to your offensive lineman because he's anticipating some type of game, so you want to be able to pass it off, right? So he gets into his pass set, stays relatively tight to the guard, throws out that drag hand. Again, good eyes onto your threat while playing tight, while also having that drag hand activated. Why is that drag hand there? Both to have that hand quicker or closer to the threat, while also being able to feel out if there is any penetration. Let's say he can't see this, but he feels it now. Okay, there's probably something coming here. This guy is going a little bit more shallow to the inside. He feels that what's happening. There's some type of game. He works to pick up the penetrator he can't see, but he also notices while he's picking that up, okay, this guy is still kind of pressing towards the outside right here, and not necessarily looping around. Gets his hand on him too. Why not? Just because you have hands on him doesn't mean you need to pass this off unless there's like a molly where he's going to block him and he's going to loop around and molly that, which you wouldn't really see in this instance. So good job picking it up. Good job having the awareness of, okay, I'm picking that up, but this guy is also threatening and grabbing him as well. Simple. Brown out on screen. Okay. Left tackle. Just the athleticism, and I think he does when he is into the second level. And that's not really open. That's not the picture perfect athleticism. He's not really moving the best there, but he might be tired. Nonetheless, I do like that he works to his he's able to pick up the defender to the outside, get his hands on, and not necessarily be concerned about ideal hand placement inside, just getting his hands onto the shoulders. Get his hands onto the shoulders, run your feet, match him. Good job. Okay. So I'm like partially watching my dog who just woke up and he's doing some weird stuff. So just making sure he's not doing anything crazy. All right. Brown sack allowed, left tackle. What do we see here? We see we see him going to fake a run. And his hands come and it's almost similar to the Cam Jordan play where we're okay with him, getting his hands wide if he's able to get his hands wide and then quarter turn and work to the shoulders and lift up a little bit. But here, the instead of going to the outside, which would be farther away from the quarterback, the defender goes a little bit more flat and towards him. And Brown comes high into the block, is more hoppy into the block. And I gotta pause it after this play. But he's more high and hoppy into the block. The defender is able to take advantage again. Very, very high leverage, very wide hand placement. Oversets it a little bit to the outside, or a decent amount to the outside. And again, in this instance, because he's going to be so far away, just have that positional leverage, have that inside out. He gets a little bit too flat right here. Hand placement's not necessarily the most ideal. The defender is able to work to the inside, club, arm over, work his way to Gino for what ends up being a sack because he can't get out of it. So pause it for a second. All right, a little bit of a change of scenery. Now we're downstairs. So let's keep moving on. Which, by the way, in the 10 to 15 minutes I was not on the screen, Zach Wilson apparently went from playing potentially week 1 to now the earliest he could play is week 4. And just based on how the Jets words things, it's not, he'll be back week 4. It's the earliest he could play is week 4. Does he play week 5? Week 6? I don't trust the Jets staff, man. I just and people saying that Zach Will or Joe Flacco gives him a better chance to win. One, no, and two, if that's the case, it's a problem. Joe Flacco is an okay backup quarterback. That's all he is. That's heartbreaking. It is. Now I know he's not injured for the year. We have to evaluate him for 10, 12 games, whatever it is. But the earliest is week 4. I could easily see them. Well, we'll see. Okay, week 5. Okay, week 6. Okay, after the bye, it just I don't trust anything they say. I don't. So, that sucks, man. Brown nearly beat. Let's continue with Brown. I'm gonna run through these even quicker than I was now. Joe Flacco. I watched Joe Flacco for 3-4 weeks. Same thing. Okay. Gets into his 45-degree set, which turns up being vertical. Ends up trying to chop the inside hand, which I actually see him do sometimes. If he can anticipate that hand or sees that hand, he will chop it and then catch him. But similar type of thing where he goes to chop, open up to the outside again, big steps. You see how the problem with this too is when he goes to open up, it's not really short condensed steps. It's fake punch, big step, heel click, outside. Fake punch, chop, big step, heel click, outside. If they can anticipate that, either go through him or inside, they're going to typically win or at least get some pressure, club, arm over. Now, relatively good job, dropping the post, getting his hands back on there and running him horizontally, but still it's a pressure allowed. So nearly beat. He gets beat, he recovers. So man. Brown run game. All right. I'm assuming hand carriage low and wide. I'm okay with one hand being more wide just to contain a guy. But when you're the activity in the feet's okay here, but when you're grabbing a guy, really any instance like this where you're trying to create movement now on the backside positional leverage type deal, okay. When you're talking about more, this is more of a mid inside zone, you really want to create some type of movement. I'm not saying you have to necessarily drive them 5 yards up the field. But here, hands wide, again, his chest gets completely controlled. And in this case too, like the thing about it is be a little bit more forceful. You have, I believe it's Gerald Everett assisting you. Get a hand inside. You have plenty of dead time right here to get your hand inside. So this defender is really not even like completely splashing him, like in terms of being aggressive and taking on the chest. He plays it more passively, and Brown still isn't able to create movement because of his hand placement. And the running back gets contacted, DJ Dallas by said defender. The dog just said something bad outside. I heard like noise, like a stick falling or something like that, and then him just sprinting into the house. So it's usually he did something that he was not supposed to do, but it is what it is. Doing the show. So Brown, patient hands. Okay. Now I like this one. This one's looks a lot cleaner. Pass set, fake punch. Obviously affects obviously if same thing happened last night. We were doing the live draft last night with the subscribers, and he never plays with his squeaky toys until I'm recording. So give me that, buddy. All right, let's do a different one. Let's do that one. All right. Okay. Sorry. So this one's a little bit better in terms of just the cleanliness and like how it looks. So pass set, fake punch affects the defensive line. He's anticipating the hand being there. He's going to chop it, whatever he's going to do. Fake punch. Patient though. I like that in this play. And typically in a lot of plays, he doesn't necessarily chase any block. So we're seeing the fake punch, not chase, patience, chopping of the inside hand there. So better hand usage, and then gets hands on and matches them. So a little bit of a change up there. It is what it is. At this point, I don't care. You guys don't care. I hope you guys don't care. If you have to hear squeaks, deal with it. click off. I'm just so disheartened right now with Zach Wilson. I don't even care if he's going to be making some noise in the background. So fake punch, patient, feel that inside hand coming, chop it down, reset, still not reaching for contact. I like it. Brown pressure allowed. I honestly might just cut this one up to 50. Like, do we need 60, 67? I don't know. We'll see. That whole Wilson thing really is throwing me for a loop right now. Brown pressure allowed. I have to do the whole thing, right? I can't not do the last. So what happens here is, again, another case where we're seeing him where we're seeing Brown get too horizontal or get too flat. Now I understand he's trying to jump set and trying to give the illusion that this is, which are they trying to show draw? I'm not sure why he's necessarily jump setting where there's no running back in the backfield, but again, you could take it more aggressive set towards him, but make sure, if anything, you're playing it more inside out and high where he has to beat you outside. Why? The inside path is the closest path to the quarterback. He gets too flat, and you can see his feet, big steps. Big steps lead to him not being able to change direction quickly. We have Smith, feels it, club, arm over, and is inside. Way too flat with too big of feet right here, or too big of steps. Brown sack allowed, play 34. Brown sack allowed, left tackle. Right? Do it. Man. Pass set 45 to a vertical, fake punch. And you could literally see, like, I am almost guaranteeing that 50 is waiting for this. Fake punch, fake punch, heel click, open, wide punch. You see him waiting for it? Wait. Oh, see it? Boom, take that chest. Rush him back. Right into a sack. Changes up his pass set often, again. Be careful with who you trust. Hopefully they provide evidence. I don't care how big the name is, how much I trust them. I don't trust anybody. Nobody. I'm not even gonna reference the name again, but if I was to just take it verbatim, then I would reiterate what that person said, and I would be wrong. Right? Here's the evidence. The entire season. Maybe I have to go through 67 plays. Brown pass set works. So this is an instance where this guy's going to continue outside. Now, you could see him changing up his feet a little bit in terms of maybe how big the steps are, how aggressive he is, etc. But typically, we're going to see fake punch, open grab. It's no matter how he gets there. That's how he ends up doing it. Now, I like the better base. The feet are a little more attached to the ground. He has more of an inside out relationship. I like that. Fake punch again, which forces, or maybe not even forces, but ends up leading to the defensive lineman throwing that leaping cross chop, which again, if that hand's not out there for him to chop, then you're just anticipating you're going to catch him. That's perfect. That's a perfect situation where that pass set would work. Grab him, get underneath, quarter turn, whatever it may be. Stick the block. Good job. Brown pressure. Left tackle, obviously, again. I'm going to give you 67, but we're going to run through these quick, man, because it's very similar. This one's a little bit more of a vertical set than the ones in the past, but fake punch, big step, open, hands come from wide, which again works when people are going up the arc because it allows them to attach that inside hand and run him up the arc. But when guys can redirect and time it, this is what happens. Call it. Less of a pressure. Brown hammer. Like, and I really would like to be in an NFL, just in an office, just pro personnel, like anything. Like, to me now, I guess, like, okay, again, that zebra can't change its stripe type deal. Literally, why my dog plays with the zebra toy. Like, do they coaches be like, hey, can you change up your sets a little bit more? Because it just happens too often where guys are clearly starting to anticipate it. It's just like curious. Like, oh, well, he does what he does. You know, he's like Garrett Wilson. Oh, he does what he does. Is that the approach? Is there not enough time in practice? It's just really interesting. Brown hammer. So situation here where obviously number 90, not typically dropping into pass coverage, threatens a little bit. We have Duane Brown who sets towards him, notices, okay, he's dropping back into coverage. Eyes immediately go back into the inside where they're supposed to. Now his threat is only 94. 94 is engaged with the left guard, drops his hammer or drops the hammer, plows him, whatever you want to call it, gets hands on, attacks the midline, creates that movement. Finds another threat, blocks him. So I like the activity right there. I like the eyes, the patience, etc. Brown pass set. If it's a pass set, I'm assuming it's gonna be the same pass set as pretty much always. Now, again, a little bit better job with his base right there, but okay, so it's not that. This one's more of an aggressive set. We don't typically see him do this. Now, is it the fact that maybe they're it's not really play action. He just the running back's just leaking through, but different. We're not typically seeing him throw aggressive two-handed fake punches, which again is you have to be careful with these two-handed punches, because if you don't land, you're locking your hips out. But with that being said, if it is to land, if you're sure that you can land it, it's gonna be very, very powerful. So sets towards him, good job maintaining that the half-man relationship, splitting him, gets into that contact window with a pretty good base, shoots two hands. After that initial contact, which pops Jones a little bit, you can see it pops him. Refit his hands, get into that anchor, get a tight elbow and start that lift process. That's a good play. Brown pancake. Okay. Left tackle. There we go. This is where we see some of his power. Like oh, apparently I tried to rewind it. He has some he definitely has some core power. That is for sure. He's definitely strong. His athleticism up there. Now, I don't know if the defensive lineman's anticipating a pass or whatever it may be, but we could see him one crosses feet over. So he's not in a powerful position right there. Tries to set the edge on Brown, but he's not in the most powerful position. Brown does a good job. Again, kind of splitting. Right, using that right hand, just clubs him with hell of torque. Now, ideally, do we want to see him attach himself to that and run him out? Sure, but when the end result is this, we're not going to complain. Now, if he were to do this, the defensive lineman were to stay up, we'd want to see him, kind of attach his hand and run through him. But he kind of just bitches him, to be honest. Hand on, core strength, finds another threat because he's out of the play, or tries to find another threat. This dog's an idiot, man. He's an idiot. There's gonna be the people like the 1 out of 100 like, oh, I hate that, whatever, talking about your dog. But there's the people who have known me for years, get a new dog, and obviously this is my full-time job. If I did, I'd figure out something better, but I'm doing it from my downstairs, and it is what it is. You're still getting the film, right? You just have to hear some squeaks in the background. He's just being a little bit of a psychopath right now. He wants to play. But Brown anchor, left tackle. And now we have more of an aggressive set right here from Brown, which we like. Like he doesn't always consistently do the same exact pass set, where sometimes it might be more of a 45 versus a vertical versus a jump, but the end result is typically fake punch open. Again, no matter how he necessarily gets there. So more of an aggressive set, more of an aggressive 45 initially towards him, then drops back, fake punch. We could see that fake punch gets the defensive lineman to lean a little bit, then he catches him. Fake punch, again, be careful with that chest being open, but he does a good job after that initial contact. Again, we're seeing him grab the shoulder pad, turn. See the quarter turn right there? Grab, turn, right there. See that wrist action? Get into his anchor. So it's again, I like the fake punch there. Again, makes him lean for contact a little bit. Now he's not in the strongest position. Catches him, quarter turn, while he hops back into the anchor, working off the insteps. At this point, he's not really going anywhere. Brown circle punch. Okay. Left tackle. Okay. So now we have more of it's more of like a 45 that turns into a vertical. And that could be more pre-snap communication too. Like there's little things like this that you're going to communicate pre-snap, like, hey, I'm going to be more aggressive towards him, in terms of the left guard towards this 4-eye. Because the problem is, okay, if he aggressively sets towards him and he takes more of a passive set, then you have two guys in the same area, maybe their feet crossing over. So if he's going to aggressive set, he should more aggressively set, or at least initially take steps outside, more aggressive steps outside, circle punch, just double fake circle. That's all it is. Circle punch, so circle punch, the defensive lineman thinks, okay, the hand's out there, I'm going to chop it. He pulls it away, the good old Olay. After that point, catch him. Then this right hand, actually, he does a better, and this is based on the fact that he doesn't want to lean for this, because if he tries to chase that hip right there, he's really going to be leaning, where this upper half is a little bit closer, and just closer to where his arm is obviously slotted. For his arm to be low and reach, it's going to be really it's just more distance, where if your arm is obviously attached to your shoulder, so if you're going to be working from your shoulder, that distance is going to be as hard to cover as it's coming from low, kind of. I didn't explain that the best, but it's attached here, so that's the most direct angle and the shortest angle. So doesn't want to reach for that hip; it's too far. So he does a good job taking the upper half, attaching himself to it, and obviously staying on the block long enough for Wilson or whoever that is. Is it Wilson? Yeah, Wilson to get rid of the ball. Brown hands. Okay, left tackle. Now, and this is like, he's getting a little bit cleaner here, where like he's not relying on the same set. And again, maybe towards the beginning of the year, he was injured, so he's not. He just kind of went to all reliable a little bit too much. That's where he's comfortable at. Just trying to contain guys, but this one's a little bit more clean too. So more aggressive off the jump, turning into more of a vertical. This one we're not seeing, and this is more of a changeup now. We're not seeing the outside fake punch. We're seeing inside. We're seeing him be a little bit more reactive and not necessarily dictating in terms of fake punch open. This one, he's reading a little bit more. Gets into a set, is reading, sees that hand getting laid out there, chops it. So now we're seeing an inside chop into catching him. So good. Work the inside and the outside. Improving. This is improvement for sure. This is a good rep, just in terms of changing up, because typically we'd see fake outside. This one, more square, chop, catch. Much better. Run with them. Don't reach for contact right here. There's some separation. Reset your hands, re-catch them. Brown fake punch. You don't say. Which again, versus young defensive lineman, it's going to jack him up. Left tackle. So you see the review gets definitely, I would say better towards the end. But this is his most frequent pass set. Now we have some more like run action just from the running back. And we have more of an aggressive 45 into a jump. Again, we see him come pretty high out of his stance, and I would like to see his first step cover more ground. It kind of it's almost acts like a zero step. It doesn't really do much of anything, which can kind of lead him to laboring up the arc. So I want to see him more consistently explode backwards off of that step, but nonetheless, get into that 45 into a vertical fake punch. What did do the defensive lineman? Oh, it's coming. He goes to chop. It's not there. He olays him. At that point, reassess. Work the hand. Now, again, good job here by Brown, not necessarily reaching for contact with that inside arm to that hip because it's farther away. He's pulling it away. So work the shoulders or work through the upper half and just run them up the arc. Match them with your feet, match them with your athleticism. Takes them completely out of the play. Brown anchor. Okay. Tackle. So we're seeing a little bit of a change up here. More of a 45-degree set. He is obviously reading the defensive lineman, sees the defensive lineman start to turn it into him. What are we going to see him do? As soon as he turns it into him, turns it into him. He goes to open up. He feels that coming, hops back into his anchor. It's a precautionary anchor. He feels it coming. Again, you don't want to get contacted, then try to anchor because it's going to be hard for you to get underneath of it. So if you anticipate that contact, great. Hop back into the anchor, working off both of his insteps. We're going to see him grab. Watch again. Hop back. Insteps. In. Now watch the upper half. Grab. This is where I talk about quarter turn. Or sorry, that doesn't have quarter turning. Or he tries to right there. He slips off. I'm not sure. Yeah, okay. So sorry, that's not the best example. We saw the quarter turn in the other rep, but good job refitting the hand. That is very powerful. That elbow angle into the chest, if he can get underneath of that, you're not moving much, as you can see. That's that good job refitting the hands. That's technique. That's him. That's him being a vet. That's him feeling that bull rush coming and not just, my hand's on the outside shoulder. Now let me hold it there. No, I'm going to refit that and got underneath of it. Tight elbow angle. Good job. Brown sack allowed. Okay. I dropped some things on Twitter and then left it. I'm sure Twitter is going absolutely wild right now. I'm sure it's not the land of happiness that it always is, for Jets fans. Just the interest. Give us I don't know, man. You're playing that much of a game. You're playing gamesmanship on the freaking Browns and the Bengals too. Like, how does it go from maybe playing this week to okay, out until week 4? The earliest in quotes. That is my concern. That stuff with the Jet staff is not great to me. Left tackle. So 45 to vertical, doesn't even throw the fake punch here, opens up. Now, again, the fact that his hands can be a little bit more passive, he does allow guys, and especially this guy, 94, whoever that is, who is very long. Unfortunately, with that set where he's going to like open, kind of go to grab a guy, that leaves his chest open for that period of time, or just in general. And in this instance, number 94 takes it with a long arm. Which again splashes him and throws off his momentum. He's not able to, because of that contact, he's not able to match him up the arc. 94 continues up the arc, pulls himself through, beats Duane Brown for what is a sack? Why? Because the 94, whether it be, it doesn't necessarily even have to, it could be luck of the draw. It's not necessarily, he recognized it. It's just based on how he typically sets. This period of time, he's open. This big heel click and that step where again, he typically attacks the guy's center of gravity and comes over. That whole movement, the click and the open, his chest is open. So whether it be luck of the draw or him anticipating it, that's his weakest point in his set. He takes advantage, works past him for the sack. Brown combo. Okay, right here, left tackle. Good combo block from him on this one. Again, aggressively trying to kick out Nick Bosa with the tight end. Yeah, aggressive set. Leaning pretty heavy, anticipating that contact, gets the right hand into the center of gravity-ish area, drives him outside, sticks on that block for long enough, does a good job getting extension, jolting him outside, Again, assisting his tackle or his tight end. His tight end would never be able to do this on his own. Extension, peels off with good timing. Eyes are up to the second level. Sees 53 coming, peels off of his block, gets hands on. Now there's a whole bunch of traffic and everything else that doesn't work out for this play to actually lead to being a touchdown. But for Brown individually, his job of comboing, creating some movement, and then peeling off to pick up a linebacker, you really can't do much better than there for Brown. Brown overset. Okay, left tackle. Yeah. Again, you want to maintain that inside out relationship, especially it looks like they're running like a spot concept right here. Yeah, you have a spot or a spot type concept, a triangle read, and Brown, just knowing it's a shorter concept. You really want to cheat inside out. Just in general, you want to be inside out, but especially on a shorter pass set, because the only way it's gonna be effective is it to the inside. So you really want to sit heavy inside. Brown gets too flat. He gets too flat. He cheats a little bit too much to the outside. Instead of splitting him, they end up squared up. Instead of splitting, they're squared up. The defensive end, the emo, whatever he is, there's no way he's gonna win to the outside right here. Where's the only way he can win? A massive B gap that Brown is affording him. Redirect to the inside with a double swipe, get pressure on Wilson. Hit whatever, but can't overset right there, and that's exactly what he does. To be very frank. 20 plays left. Brown pass set. Left tackle. It's similar, right? Again, we see this is much more of a jump 45. And I in this instance, I like that on a couple of these occasions, he closes ground really, really quickly to a guy and then gears down. So it's like so that'll jack some guys up in terms of their plan where they're not expecting an aggressive pass set. So I like that he does that on this play and on some other plays where it's more aggressive, sit. Aggressive, fake punch, forces the defensive lineman to pitter patter a little bit just based on the aggressiveness with the fake punch. Now this is Josh or Jacob Martin, by the way. Now Jacob Martin tries to reevaluate, but with that all happening, now he's not running full speed up and through his chest. He causes Martin to reassess and not have full momentum. So now when you don't have full momentum into splashing Brown or trying to bull rush him, now that containment becomes much more effective because again you're fighting against not a fully clean bull rush and how we like to set it up. Fake punch on his feet, just contain him at that point. First contact, there's not a lot of power into this in terms of like his straight line speed into Brown. So just catching him does the job. Catch him, quarter turn, work him. Brown sack allowed. Left tackle. This is Martin. So that's a good thing, good and bad, right? I'd probably rather see Brown be winning than Martin because it's more important for us that Brown, because of Zach Wilson or Joe Flacco until week 10, because they'll just keep lying to us. So, again, more of an aggressive set initially because of the play action, but does a relatively good job maintaining that. Or does a good job maintaining that outside in relationship. The problem is what happens, and listen, at this point he closes so much ground, like just shoot to his chest. So like I would like to see him not open up like he does consistently, because when you're opening up like that, instead of like let's say the edge rushers it's hard because you're opposite of me, but like I would like to see him take that aggressive set and sometimes just shoot to the chest and kind of play under your hip. But he always opens up where that punch now has to become a containment, because you're not going to open and punch straight because you're going like opposite of your momentum. So if they can anticipate, him opening, one, instead of being a straight punch, it's more rounded, which gives them more time to react, and it's not as powerful. So like take it, like get into him. But he opens, That punch is wider. Martin just like touches it with the cross chop, club, rip. He's beat. Why is he beat? Again, because there's no really strong point of containment because of that hand. It comes from wide, and Martin he wins because he anticipates it, or at least he gets lucky. Lucky enough to be there. Stunt pickup. Okay, left tackle. Again, when you have guys who are this tight, you're anticipating something, right? So be a little bit more condensed with your footwork, stay tighter to your left guard than maybe you typically would. So more of a vertical set here. Why? He wants to stay tight, doesn't want a 45 or jump, wants to stay tight. So vertical set to both stay tight and to be able to pick up any potential penetration. Vertical, reading it. DN dives inside, drops his post. Right foot is the post. Now it's the kick. Now the left foot's the post foot. Drops his post, left hand into the chest, passing it off. Eyes are up to the second level. Good job passing it off. Good job with eyes up. Good job staying square, not overcommitting to said block. Drop off with good timing. Redrop the post. Get hands on just to contain him. At this point, Russell Wilson should obviously be getting rid of the ball. So he doesn't have to try to jack him up. Just at that point, contain. Brown jump set. Left tackle. And change it up. Like he has Martin locked up, and he has the benefit of Martin not being ready pre-snap, so he's almost like there before Martin even comes off the ball. But this is the thing with like these now that his lower half is more aggressive, he's almost affording himself the opportunity for his punch to be more containment, because if he's in a close ground quickly to him and Martin's not able to build up his power to take advantage of the open chest, then you can just grab him. See what I'm saying? So if you're going to eliminate the momentum from Martin because of your aggressiveness with your feet, you could have more of these like hug blocks or hug techniques. So aggressively set towards him. Martin's not able to gain any power at all. Grab. I'm assuming there's gonna be some type of quarter turner. You'd like to see it. It's maybe right there. He tries to turn a little bit. Nonetheless, he gets under that block. Looks like he tries to lift. Sticks with him the entire time. He splashed him. It's like a reverse splash. He got on him quick and allowed Martin to build up absolutely no power. And the fact that Martin's 245 pounds and he built up no momentum, he's not going anywhere. Nothing. Absolutely nothing right there. Now, yeah, Russell Wilson almost runs it right into him, but that's not his fault. Brown beat run game. I'm assuming hands low and wide. Okay. So with this being said, again, his run angles aren't always the best. He needs to play it much more inside out. He gets weight, and I don't know if it's a Seattle thing. Hopefully Benton will change it because he preaches getting a little bit more vertical off of that first step than some other systems do. He gets too flat right here again. Too flat. Big steps. So that first step doesn't do much. Cross the feet, big steps, flat. You're throwing a lot of momentum and guessing that he's going to be to the outside. If he anticipates it or feels it out and gets to the inside, you're putting yourself at a real disadvantage just in terms of balance, trying to readjust to that. Big steps, hands wide, club. He's there. Why? Not just because of the angle, because of the feet. These are big steps. Again, vertical into him, not flat and allowing him to cross your face. You cannot get your face crossed, especially the run coming to your side, but from the opposite side, it's going to be more tight. This is the most effective angle, is for him to cross your face. So vertical to the outside, let him beat you to the outside, run off the arc. Too flat, too big of feet, or too big steps, and again, hand carriage comes from wide and low. Let's up a tackle. 52 of 67. 53. Okay. Snow game. Love it. Left tackle. Left tackle right there. we're seeing one of his more frequent pass sets. Now, it's really not even a clean play by either guy. Like he oversets it a little bit, if anything. Ideally, if you drew it up ideally for the defensive lineman, he might try to win inside right here because he oversets a little bit. So we see a little bit of overset, fake punch, goes to do his typical open, hug him. But with what happens with that, it looks to me, just based on how he typically plays, I would assume, and it's hard. I don't love to assume. I think his right hand doesn't land because right here he's not in a worse case. He's not in the worst position he's ever been in. If that right hand were to land into the rib area, he could probably run up the arc. I think that hand either doesn't land or slips. So now he has no really strong point of contact, and the defensive lineman just continues to run his feet up the arc. Brown again doesn't have any strong point of contact, and the defensive lineman is able to bend and get the hit near sack on Russell Wilson. Left. Yeah, I'm gonna venture to guess that right hand does not land, because typically he'd attach himself to it and run him up the arc. Brown run game, okay, left tackle, too flat. Exactly, that's all it is. Too flat. Outside, vertical, inside out. He goes overset already right there. Comes up high out of his stance, crossing his feet, big steps. Big steps don't allow you to react to movement. Big steps. Look at all that. Look at all the dead time right here. What's the defensive body language telling you right here where he's going? He can't react to it. Why? Look at his feet. High, big steps, too flat, cross his face. He's there to completely shut down that run. Bad angle, bad feet. Be more condensed. Can't be hopping in the run game. Not a good play. He's not a good run blocker. I'm not very confident in his run blocking. Pass blocking a little bit more so. But left tackle right here. He's good on combos. Again, I want to see his first steps close more ground. His first steps they're not doing much, but they're running counter OF, so he wants to down block and then obviously pick up the backside linebacker. So combo to the backside to the thick. They're going to or is that a yeah, so he's gonna kick out, he's gonna lead. Kick out lead. Obviously, it could be adjusted based on how the defense moves. They do it. This combo doesn't do a good job of anything, or whoever 20 is not a good player. I can tell you that, or at least in this play, is not a good player. So 2v1, Brown again, and for him does a good job. He chases the block a little bit, but he stays square to the line of scrimmage, to his threat. Doesn't necessarily overcommit. Pops him playing long, eyes up, peels off with relatively good timing, gets hands on. That's really all you can ask for at the second level. That's a good job by him. If you guys can see what I see, you should understand. If you're in Jersey, it's been raining the last couple of days. By the time you're watching this again, it's the 7th, and he is standing in mud. Brown wrench, left tackle. AK, I gotta clean him again. Second time today. They've been out for like 2 hours. So wrench. Again, you could see his you see his foot right there? It almost like freezes. It's just he doesn't do a lot with that first step ever. A little bit off balance there. I don't think that's what he wants to happen. That's really odd. But he goes to, again, open right hand into the ribs, run him off the arc. But again, if guys can start to anticipate that, which they're going to start to, spin move is fine because you're chopping that outside hand. That's wider, which allows you that more time to chop inside. is going to go to the hip. But guess what? If you're going to roll that off of you like on a spin move, it works out perfectly. So chop, spin, work to the inside. So not ideal right there. But how does he recover? That's important. Right hand into the chest. Or sorry, yeah. So we don't love that he necessarily sets himself up to get beat. We do like that the right hand comes over the top to get into the chest. Now he's going to use that as like a pivot point, use that to both turn himself inside while also slowing down the defender. Then that hand is going to stay attached. That left hand, that outside hand, should then work into the small of the back and wrench him. Again, just straightening his body out. Slowing down his momentum. So, left hand to the back, wrench him. Stand straight up. Yeah, I'm going quick. I already knew I was going to go quick with this one. Then you multiply that by the fact that Zach Wilson's going to be out for until the bye week. Brown Pat, that's not verbatim. I just the whole again earliest week 4 scares the shit of me. If you told me though at the beginning of when he went down in that preseason game, okay, he's gonna be out until week 4, I'll sign the dotted line. But geez, man, just the Jets are like that commercial with the guy at the fishing pole, the dollar bill. You know, you almost had it. That's what you feel like with the injuries sometimes. Brown pass set. Right. This, really, quick fake punch. Now this one's even I like this one even typically less than I usually do, because if there's guys on like a hard outside track, okay, the fake punch, they open, I'm cool with it. My problem, the criticism here is the fake punch. They're pretty squared up right now. Fake punch, heel click. He is very susceptible at this point, which Brown doesn't necessarily, or Chandler Jones doesn't necessarily take advantage of, but he's very susceptible to being beat inside. Thankfully, Chandler Jones continues to the outside. Fake punch, open, left hand contained, right hand into the ribs. Push him up the arc. But and good job staying attached. Good job running his feet. All that. This is all that looks great. And it's a good rep. But he could have just as easily probably gotten beat inside right here. He does a little bit better of a job staying square. Like he doesn't, punch. He opens, but it's kind of more delayed. I don't know. 10 plays left. Brown set. Straight right inside of hook. Straight right. Oh, okay. Yeah. And turn. This is instead of him like trying to, get this right hand, this inside hand into the hip and run him up. Now this one's a little bit more direct and powerful, and look what happens. So, jump sets or initially just aggressively sets towards Chandler Jones. A little bit better of a base here. He's a little bit more balanced just in terms of like his leverage. You can see he's a little bit more bend right here. Now comes into that contact window, throws like that semi fake punch ish. Jones continues up the arc. Now again, he doesn't necessarily want to reach for this hip right here, because at this point, what's farther, the hip or the upper or the upper body? So, it's a good job, relatively good job, like framing him, etc. Getting going quick right here, but it's a good job saying inside out. He commits to the outside. So does Brown. Now again, what's closer? He takes the shoulder. Now look, more powerful. Lands the right into him. What happens? Throws him to the ground. I want to see more of this. I want to see more aggressive hands from him. He clearly is powerful. Look at that. Now, is he also benefited by the fact that Chandler Jones is kind of like is kind of leaning into that and anticipating that contact? He misses that chop. Now he's kind of falling over into it already. Sure, but still change up and it works out well. Now match him. Good job. Brown climb play design. I really want to get into a play design right now. I don't know what I'm going to say about this. Left tackle. Clearly, I didn't like it. What? I don't hate the play design. Why I say the play design? Those guys block down, pull. climb, kick, lead. I don't know what I'm. Maybe if I watched a couple more times, maybe there's something I didn't like about this where I criticized it. I don't know exactly what I was talking about a couple weeks ago when I recorded this. Yeah, that running back doesn't do a great job setting that up for himself. Brown. Am I missing under the combo? I don't know what I'm talking about with the play design. Yeah. Brown, should I even really like he climbs to the second level. He just wants to get hands on. The thing about it is, and the reason he's stepping down, like people are like, oh, he put himself out of position. The reason he's stepping down a little bit like this is just in case that this defender, instead of just more aggressively working towards the center, if he were to just shoot a little bit more vertical right here, he's stepping down to ensure that when this gap is vacated, he's not going to get quick penetration. So he steps down, just ensuring the center's going to be able to block back to him. Once he confirms that, works up to the second level. And again, this is more of a point where you can hug a guy. Gets his hands on, match him, good block. I don't know what I meant by play design. Maybe good, maybe it's good. I don't know. Brown, high, click, recover. High, click. Okay. Yeah, so initially gets high into his stance. Heels are clicking. Again, we want to see them not do this. We don't want to see heels like this pretty much ever. High and clicking, not good idea. Again, anticipating him kind of Jones going to the outside. Doesn't he oversets? This is an overset right here. Already it's an overset. And your heels are clicking and you're high. Jones feels it out, or he's just going to rush to the inside regardless. Plants off the inside, the instep of the outside foot, works the inside. Brown now shows off some of the athleticism, drops his post, drops the post, left hand into the chest, and he's going to like wrench him so much. That right hand comes to contain into the chest. If you were to push it, if you were to be a little more tight to Brown and be pushing this a little bit more vertical, this hand ends up landing into the small of the back, and then he straightens him out. But what happens is, because he takes it a little bit more horizontal, the hand doesn't land into the back, it lands into the hip. The hand lands into like the hip rib area, and then he just works that he works that powerful elbow position and works him lateral instead of wrenching him and running him. Extension, good job. Good recovery. Brown set, better feet. Okay. Let's see. No, doesn't want it. Okay. Brown set, better feet. Okay, left tackle. Yeah. You see how the feet aren't as clicky right here, and they're a little bit more attached to the ground. Now we're seeing more of an aggressive 45-degree set. Fake punch. When that fake punch comes, Jones goes to double swipe. Obviously pulls the hand away. Fake punch. Pull himself back to avoid any swipes or anything like that. Catch him. Now again, powerful position to be in. That left hand is acting as like containment. Right hand, very powerful into the ribs. Stay attached and work him up the arc. Obviously he redirects, but he stays attached. But the feet are better here in terms of not clicking, right? Covers a little bit more ground with that left foot than he typically does. Feet are more attached. They don't necessarily click. Good job. The feet are definitely better there. Brown motion, change gaps, Brown adjust. Okay. All right. Yeah, we see these guys, like you see the linebackers pushing over, like now everybody has a little bit different of a gap responsibility when you have those motions. So we see the motion affect the defense. Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. So, I don't necessarily love the play on here anyway. So I think what they were trying to do was, which with this, There's a lot to unpack right here if I really want to, but I don't. I'm so close to the end. So I think what they're trying to do is they're running this counter, and they want Russell Wilson to hold the backside, the EMAL to the backside. But the orbit motion right there changes some assignments, and instead of him having leverage inside of, or heavy inside leverage of Chandler Jones, where maybe he can continue to the second level and lead block, what ends up happening is, because of the gap change assignments, he goes from outside to inside, outside to inside. So now he's going to cheat even heavier to the inside, to where this run is going. Now, Brown, obviously, in this instance, can't kick out and lead. He's way too tight to this, where if he continues with this play, he's going to shut it down into the backfield. So a little bit of a vet move, just noticing what's going on right here. Gets kicked out, and he turns into Jones. So good job just making, what is it? Chicken salad, chicken shit, or something like that. Whatever that is, apply it here, even though I don't think I said it right. Yeah. Sorry, can I get some? I'm very cautious of what my dog's doing right now, but it's a good job just recognizing that there are plenty of guys right here who just run, not necessarily recognize that, not pick it up, and he's tackling them. Again, I don't think that was necessarily his assignment, which I don't love. I think they're trying to hold him right there. I think this motion with Wilson, his run bet, they're trying to hold him in that way. Obviously, it doesn't work out that way. Good job by Brown adjusting. Brown overset but aware. Okay, left tackle. Yeah. So initially, what are we seeing? Again, we want to see him splitting his feet, click, oversets him too flat, crosses his face. He gets hands onto wrench, right-handed in, left hand drives him horizontally. Now as he drives him horizontally, you see his eyes stay up. You're going to see him prepare for this. This wasn't luck of the draw. His eyes stay up. What does he notice? He notices this. He notices their relationship right here. Notices the inside track to the quarterback right here. So we're going to see him prepare. We're going to see him prepare for that contact, drop off. You see him drop off and brace. Drop off, brace for it, contact him. Now, again, not the cleanest play in the entire world, but good secondary awareness, and obviously we want to watch the overset there, right? So 4 plays left, and then I'm going to read the list of strengths and weaknesses. So typically I'd yell at him for nibbling, but when we're in the situation where I'm trying to do this, he's getting away with it a little bit, which he's taking full advantage. Brown's zone short yardage. Okay, right here, left tackle. So this is a good play on the backside of this run. So he zone steps. And this is kind of what Benton teaches, is by your third step, you want to declare. So this is kind of what he teaches, just to be simple. But first step, and one, it wouldn't go backwards like this. It would be more vertical. Nonetheless, he doesn't want to chase this block inside. Now if he were to kind of stick to the backside shoulder or try to penetrate, he'd pick up this block. But if he's going to expand, I know he's expanding inside, which doesn't necessarily make sense, but in terms of Duane Brown, that's how the terminology works. He expands or dives. So he dives inside. He doesn't want to chase him. So good job with that overlap technique. Again, just letting his tackle know he's there initially, and kind of using it as a push-off point to work back. But good job not chasing. 1, 2, 3. Don't chase. Reassess. He sees obviously this defender scraping down hardly in the line of scrimmage. Redirects himself into that, drops his shoulder, pops him up, even past that, and then works the second level, because he knows, just based on this blocking scheme, okay, don't chase the inside. Number 84, the tight end, is trying to block this defensive end, so he doesn't necessarily have to attach himself to the block. but if he can drop his weight into him a little bit, drop his shoulder into him, pop him up, that allows 84 to get that positional leverage. So hell of a job there, allowing 84 to get to his positional leverage, and then climb to the second level and get on another, or try to get onto another block. Obviously undercuts him, but it's a good job. 3 plays left. Brown jump set, left tackle. Really, my guy. This is more of like it's more of like a 45 that ends up becoming a jump set, because or it looks like a jump set because he penetrates, but work towards them. Again, smaller steps. We like that. And it's a similar situation which we were talking about some of the other plays where we don't always love necessarily grabbing guys, but if you can take with these element of surprise, if you can take away the defensive lineman being able to build up the momentum into him, if you can contact him quickly, grab him, that's fine, because of one, the quarterback's far away and you're not allowing him to, again, gain set momentum. So more aggressive set, grab him initially right off the jump. He's lower than him, and grabs him. There's no power there. Attach himself to it. We could see obviously he has good grip strength. Good job getting hands on and then turning it in. Again, this is not as powerful as this. Tighten those elbows. So good job right there. 2 plays left. Brown versus Jones. Apparently this is a Twitter play. Apparently that's a Twitter play right here. Again, this is more of a show of like strength, core strength, than it is necessarily technique, because we're seeing one of his typical sets, more of an aggressive 45 into a vertical fake punch. Now at this point, am I worried about him getting a little bit beat inside or his chest taken? I am. This is never the most ideal position to be in. Jones doesn't really direct his power in a good way. He's kind of going through him while his upper body is going inside, so he's not necessarily in a the most ideal line, just in terms of the most powerful position. So a little bit sketchy, but he ends up at least getting contact or being able to grab him. Now at this point, he's not in the strongest position because he's not underneath of him. So instead of trying to lift, because it's gonna be hard for him to get, Chandler Jones is below him, so he's not gonna be able to get underneath him and lift. So at this point, he turns that into just him torquing. So grab, not in the most ideal position, torque. Drop that weight a little bit. Use your core strength. Torque him outside. Stay attached. Run him outside. That's a good block. Again, a little bit of an overset. Not ideal in terms of this relationship right here, but good recovery and good strength to torque him to the outside. And obviously, you throw him to the turf. Based on what I watched, a lot of Chandler Jones last year. I don't know if obviously last year he's getting a little bit older and he's struggling a little, or he's not as good as he was a couple of years ago. Every time I watch Jones, I'm a little bit more. I'm a little bit less impressed than I previously was. But last play of the review, so we reviewed the strengths and weaknesses. Brown power, left tackle right here. That's not even him. Hold on a second. Oh, duh. Okay. He's right here. Right here. Yeah, if he gets his hands on you, like, one, his grip strength is good. Clearly, we see he has good torque strength. Works to the outside in the run block on 44. Now his hands come at least from a little. His right hand comes from low. His left hand comes at a little more direct angle, so I like that. The right hand still is pretty low carriage. He gets hands on. I believe that's Marcus Golden, right? Gets hands on, and now we're seeing his strength take over, where he's not necessarily in the most ideal position in terms of leverage, but his elbow's at a pretty tight angle, and even though he's higher than him, he still is kind of lifting him, just almost like in a bridge and lifting him. And we're gonna see Golden try to anchor down. And when you're seeing a guy anchoring down with relatively like good anchor posture, and his foot is dragging the turf, it's probably a pretty good indication that the tackle's strong. So tries to anchor down, and again, he's just gonna run him. See him sliding? That's just power. That's just pure power. Again, I was pretty quick on a lot of these plays. Hopefully the review was relatively it was digestible because I went pretty quick. But let me read the strengths and weaknesses. By the way, and for the people who are going to say, what is that, Mark? That's not on your screen. That is on my screen. I think my camera got scratched. I think that's probably what it is. So it is what it is. That's our new little fake eye floater. Strengths and weaknesses. Let's see. Let me pull up my notes, which I should have done before, but who cares at this point? Zach Wilson's hurt. Duane Brown. Okay, so 6'5", 300 pounds, 37 years old. I watched obviously the entire season. So strengths. Stays square when passing off stunts, good awareness and pass protection, plays with length, some pop in his punch, anchor, flexibility, core strength, arm length, passes off stunts well, keeps eyes up in pass pro, good at getting to second level, good straight line speed to lead screens and pulls, arm length, which I said twice already, gets depth when uncovered in pass sets, doesn't chase blocks, snap timing, does well resetting himself after initial contact with D linemen on pass sets, throws fake and circle punches often, will chop hands in pass pro, plays with patience in pass pro mostly, shows wrench when beat, showed better movement towards end of 2021 season, awareness, weaknesses, can click heels in pass pro, change of direction, feet can stall in run game, plays high too often, could attack hip more consistently on combo blocks, crosses feet in run game too often, lacks consistent aggression, can give up on plays early, plays with some forward lean in run game, too often bends from waist, doesn't always cover ground with his first step in pass set, takes angles that are too flat, understanding of proper positional leverage. I put positional do that. Positional leverage on first level in run game, hands land high and or wide too often, needs to play with hands on guard, run punch needs to be more direct. Again, direct versus this. Has trouble rolling hips into blocks because he typically comes in the blocks high, and that's just based on the fact that he's tall. Not able to sustain run blocks due to hand placement and leverage. That's more first level than second level. Second level is a different story. Oversets on 45-degree and jump sets too often. Want to see more consistent knee bend. Needs to work to reset hands and feet in run game. Opens with pass pro punch, making him susceptible to inside moves. Pass set can be predictable. Ducks head in run game too often. That's it. The last review that I have to do before the season. Obviously, late edition. Obviously, Tony Adams is out. A bunch of other guys are coming out. This is probably the last one you guys are watching, or one of the last ones you're watching. Appreciate all of you, and I will catch you soon.